Good afternoon out there, shopkeepers and do-it-yourselfers. Today we're going to be working on these HWH leveling jacks on the back of this RV. I've already done this one on the driver's side. Obviously we're at the rear axle. You can tell by the two tires. We don't have duals on the front. That would be neat, but we don't. Anyway, I want to let you know how you have to take these apart and the easy way to get them down. The nuts are not welded to the back of the bracket, so you have to stick a wrench up in there, get your arm up in there to hold the nut. On this, they are 3/4 inch head. That'd be I think that's a 1/2 inch bolt with a 3/4 inch hex head bolt and nut. There's a lock washer on the back side, and the line for the hydraulic is 11/16, and you take the top, the very top fitting loose. It swivels, and you can take that loose. You won't lose a lot of fluid, but it's good to put a pan down there or a catch sheet or drop cloth or something if you don't want to make a mess. And when you get ready to get the last bolt or so, take and put you something that'll catch that, because that jack's got some weight to it. It's maybe 20 pounds. It's not extremely heavy, but it's a lot to catch and hold sometimes, depending on your situation. But anyway, when you get the last bolt out, then just kind of ease it down, and then you have to. The next thing you have to do is you got to get the spring off of it. And even though the cylinder is fully retracted, or well, it's not the cylinder, it's the ram. The piston is fully retracted into the cylinder. This is the cylinder. The spring has still got some load on it. Otherwise, when it would get to a certain point, it wouldn't pull the piston all the way into the cylinder, or pull it fully retracted. So it has got load on it even though it's fully retracted. So how do you get that off of there? Because you got to get the spring off to be able to get the piston out of the cylinder. So but the first step is to get the jack off. Once you get the jack off of the RV, now we got the jack off of the RV, and you want to get you a can of good lubricant. I've already loosened these bolts, but you want to spray up in there along the shank of the bolt and into the spring the best you can, and begin to loosen that. These are 9/16 bolts. They are grade 8 bolts. Loosen that up a little bit, and then start bathing this down with some penetrating oil and working it back and forth. That's a very long bolt. I don't know for sure how much longer, how much more thread we have left in there, but I think it's maybe a 4-inch bolt. Anyway, this one is much shorter, but when you let this one down, you release most of the load of the spring. You can see that it's still got some tension on it, but not very much. And then you can release it when you take this bolt out. It's only about 1.5 inches long. Like I say, they're both 3/8 bolts. It takes a 9/16 wrench or socket to take them loose. And when you've got it to where you're pretty confident that you're toward the end of that bolt, then you can go ahead and loosen this bolt, and that will let this kind of cam over and release more of the remaining tension that's left on that spring, which is not very much. And you can see that bolt is not going to come flying. It's not going to fling it's not going to do that, because you've got almost all of the tension removed off of that spring, and then just kind of lay that spring down and push it out of the eye that it hooks to, and you can see that this has been leaking pretty good. Now what I do is I hang this back on the RV. I'll just put 2 bolts in it, and just, I don't run them down tight. I just make sure that the nut spun onto it far enough that it's not going to fall off. And with the line disconnected, your piston is going to slide down out of the cylinder a little bit. So it'll, well, let's see, it'll be kind of like in this configuration. If you've got something under it, otherwise the piston will drop all the way down. And because this is mounted to the frame, rather than trying to put it in a vise and hold it, I'll put it on the frame with 2 bolts, let the piston drop down a little bit, and then I can take that spanner nut loose, or the gland. It's actually a gland. I take that loose and spin it out of there. Well, how do you do that? Well, I'm glad you asked. There's 2 flat spots on this gland that are opposite one another. So you can put a tool on there, and that measures about 2 7/8 inch across from here to here. And I used a big pipe wrench. Some might not call that a big pipe wrench, but it's just big enough that I could get it on there, and then I put a cheater pipe or a section of a jack handle on there and push with one hand, and the other hand I'm holding this up into fully engaged into position. And it didn't take very much to jar it loose. Once I got it loose, then it turned out almost by hand without any trouble. Let's see. You can use a big pair of channel locks at this point if you got a pair big enough. Right? And I do, but I'm trying to make a video with one hand, and I can't do it, not one-handed. Okay, I got it loose enough I can turn it by hand. And you want to use caution, and don't strike this chrome, this piston, with anything hard. You don't want to put any divots in it and damage it, where that when the piston's working up and down through the seals in the gland, it doesn't cause a leak. And you'll have a little residual pump fluid in here, and most of them just use Dexron transmission fluid. That's what I've got in this one. And there's no seal down here in the bottom of this. It's up here in the top. Okay. Now this is stopped. You can tell it's leaking. It wouldn't have all that mess there. This top, let's set it up here so I can stand up a little higher. Got to take this bolt out right there. It's a 15/16. Let's see what I do with it. I guess is it right here. No, there it is. 15/16. And this is a Bluetooth impact. The Bluetooth goes from here. No, it don't work that way. Anyway, probably have to put my foot on there to hold it from spinning. That don't have to be torqued on there real tight, just tight enough that it's not going to back out. Now you can see that piece right there serves as a stop, so this won't shove out if you keep pushing the extend button. And I guess this piece right here is more like a wear sleeve, and as long as it isn't gouged up and whatever, I'm not going to worry about replacing that. We'll clean it up good. Now you can take your gland off of there, and we can get them seals that are in there out. And here is the only seal for the external. When that goes up in there, that seals that off pretty good. Now you've got nothing left inside of your cylinder. It's all just, as long as it's not pitted up bad or damaged in any way, it's ready to go back together. We'll clean it up, make sure there's no grime in there. And so let me get this wiped off, and we'll get these seals and take note of the direction your seals face, so when you go to putting it back together, they're going to be facing the right direction. Then I've got this wire brushed. I got the seals out of it, except for the I don't know, wear sleeve, insulator bushing, I don't know what you call it. Got a piece of emery cloth, and I'm just going to polish the outer bottom side inside here. I say the outer being past the seals. I'm just going to clean up any rust checking and corrosion buildup on the inside of this gland collar. Just make sure that everything's good and clean. Cleanliness is your friend here. Cleanliness is your friend. And then we're going to check inside of this seal groove to make sure that there's no corrosion buildup in there. And I can see that there is not. And I'm going to use some brake parts cleaner. Just spray that and go inside of that wear collar too. Make sure there's nothing built up in there collected that's going to cause a problem. I sprayed it all off pretty good there. Now this one's been apart before, and I know that because I've already done the other spring, or the other not spring, what am I trying to say? The other jack, and the seal that came out of it is just like what was in it, and it's kind of like an H. You can see it's got a groove. It's like a flat O-ring, and it's got a groove where this split ring would go in there, and it fits inside of that little section. I don't know if the camera picks that up or not, but it actually fits flush in that groove. Well, the other ring, the other Teflon ring that would go on this side, was not in there. So I know that it's been taken apart and they didn't put it all back in there. However, the seal that we got, I don't remember what they, when I went down to the seal getting place, he told me some name that type of seal was called, but that's the old original style. He gave me a regular seal that's got a chamfer on it, or a lip that sticks out. However, that lip is not hollow. This is a solid piece of rubber, but it does have a lip that goes outward. So when you put it in, it goes towards the fluid, and it goes to the bottom. So made sure we got that clean, and we don't have anything on our seal. So we'll put that in with the part that angles outward towards the fluid. And it kind of is ugly going in there, but that's just how you put hydraulic seals in. It just kind of will snap into location, and then we want to push it all the way down in the groove, so we've got a space in the groove between the top of the groove and the top of that seal, because we have to put this in there. And you see you got two pieces. We want to put this side in first and then put this side in on top of it, but we're going to put these in first and then put the rest of it in second. So we're going to go in, the bottom piece is going in, and we'll kind of go a fourth of the way around to get it pushed in there. There we go. Got it pushed in there. Then we'll go and put the other mating part in on top of it. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing, but just try to look over my shoulder. I know you probably can't see it, but I'm sorry if you can't. But don't work it to where they're stacked right away. You can just get it started and then push it over into place. That Teflon seal, ring, it's kind of a seal, but it ain't. It's kind of a seal, but it ain't. It's more like a scrubber ring. There, we got it. So both ends are started, and then we just push it down into place and get it completely in there. You're going to have a little S-curve in there as it pushes up into place. Just gently kind of massage it up into its location, and there you go. It's in there, and you can see right there the two halves are stacked on top of one another, and they're beveled. They're not blunt. This one is slightly beveled. It's got a slight bevel. It's not a blunt edge, you know, like this is two blunt edges. It's not like that. It's like two angles coming together, but it's in there. And so then we go to the outer seal, and there were two pieces in this seal pack, and it like this. You had the first one to come off, which was the top one, is just a regular O-ring, and then you had this one, and this seal, it's kind of got a rounded seat in it all the way around that your O-ring is going to set in, as well does your new one. It's not flat, it's rounded. So make sure that your seal groove is clean, and go ahead and put this one on there. You're going to have to stretch it a little bit to get it in there, and then it'll snap back into place. And then make sure you don't grab the old seal. You don't want to do that. And then this one goes to the top. So the first one you put on goes below it. Just massage it in there, and then you can see both seals. Make sure that you don't have an overlap, and it doesn't. I've used a wire brush on my bench grinder and polished all this up and cleaned the thread grooves out and everything. So this is ready to go. I'll take a little bit of pump fluid and lubricate those seals, so when I put them on, they will not go in dry. And we'll clean this lock ring or stop ring, I don't know what you want to call it. Make sure it's not got any debris on it, and that this will rotate on that piece. It doesn't have to. It doesn't rotate when it's in function, but it just lets us know that it's clean and there's no debris underneath it. Then we'll take the piston, or not the piston, but the cylinder, and make sure that it's clean. And the end of it, it's got a little bit of a taper, so that when this goes in, it doesn't go against a sharp, blunt surface, as well as the piston. The piston has got a taper on it, so that when you put the gland on there, it's not going against. Let me change your angle here. Yeah, it's got a little taper on it right there, so it's not going against, your seal is not going to be going against a sharp edge. It will taper and push the seal out. I think I'm going to stop the video. I'm going to clean this mess out of this pan, or the foot, and then we'll resume with the assembly. Okay, I got it cleaned up. Now, I just cleaned it off. I didn't wash it, because it's, you can see, I just scraped all the crap off of it. It had about 4 pounds of grime on it from the seal leaking, and that's how you know that your seals need to be replaced if you're building up oil in this tray, obviously, or oil leaking onto the ground beneath where the jack is. And if the jack keeps retracting on its own, but you're not getting fluid leaking out here, and you're not getting fluid leaking through the line anywhere, then you have a bad control valve on your pump. You don't have a bad pump, because if the jacks will extend, your pump is working. If the jacks will pick the RV up, pick up its weight, then your pump is working. But if it will not stay extended, then you have a bad, probably, I suppose it could leak back through the pump if you're I don't know what, the valves. I just happen to have one of these. This is an electronic, it magnetizes and opens, and it overrides a spring on your valve piston, your valve body piston, to let the fluid travel from the pump to the cylinder. And when this de-energizes, it demagnetizes, and the spring uh, overrides and closes the valve. It's a lot like a regular starter solenoid or something like that. It works by magnetism. But anyway, you have two of these. One of them is for each channel on, or each jack, and then the other valve is a dump valve for all of them. At least that's the way it is on this one. Some of them will have a pressure valve and a dump valve for each jack. I prefer that. Because if you've got your jacks extended and for whatever reason you want to dump one particular jack or retract it just a little bit and not mess with the others, you can do that. But with mine you can't, because it only has one dump valve. But if you have one jack that is retracting on its own, but the others are not, and you have confirmed you don't have a leak, then your bypass is in your pressure valve. It would have to be in the pressure valve, because the others would also retract on their own if the dump valve was bad. So keep that in mind. So we've got this, and remember, the seal that we put in goes toward the fluid, so when it goes in, I've already oiled this. When you put this on, you're going to go past your chamfer, but your the lip edge is sticking out, so when it goes on there, actually it'd be this way. When it goes on there, it will open up and wrap around this piston. So there you go. It is kind of snug, and snug is your friend. Let's see, spray this off. That's clean. Top of the piston is clean. Like I say, you don't have to put any Loctite on that or anything. You just run that down on there good and tight. German torque specs, good and tight. Let me tighten that up right quick. Okay, I got that tight, and I oiled that seal. Then just wet it, and also checked the piston, or not the piston, the cylinder, make sure it's clean, and oiled the side wall of it, so that when I put this in there and turn that gland, it will let that seal slip. And I'll just turn the cylinder rather than the gland. And when I tighten this up, I will put this on the jack, or on the frame of the RV first, and tighten that nut. No, I won't. I'll just take it over to the vise and set it in the vise and crank that down. Let me go do that. Okay, I got her in the vise. Figured I'd let you. Now there's the channel locks that I was using. Just make sure that you keep it on the collar and off of the piston. You don't want to damage or scrape it. And this doesn't seal by how tight you get it, because the seal is up in here and it's already sealed. Once it gets to a certain point, it's already sealed as good as it's going to seal, no matter how tight you get this collar. But you want the collar tight so it doesn't vibrate loose. Need to retracted my weight there a little bit. I'm going to go to my pipe wrench, put that dude on there, then I can put my cheater pipe on it. I don't know how tight we're going to get this, but just good and tight. Just make sure it don't slip off the flat spot and damage your piston. That's tight enough. That is tight enough. So now the only thing we got left to do is put the spring on. So let's get it back over there. Okay. Now, what you want to do, let's turn it so it's in the light. You want your eyelet opposite your mounting flange. And you really can't service this spring, at least on this RV, with the jack mounted, because this is all the way up against the flooring, the subfloor. So we're gonna, since we can get to it, there it is. I'm gonna spray in here, right center, and I can see the bottom of that bolt, and I can see that it's almost completely extracted. So that is lubricated down there. Lubricate them threads good, and spray a little bit right there on those threads. Don't put a lot in there, because you're going to have a puddle and your bolt won't go in all the way. So we're going to put the eyelet, or the hook of the spring, in the eyelet on the pad of the jack. So that's in. And bring this over and line up that hole there. We'll go ahead and put a little bit of lube on that bolt, the threads on that bolt. There we go. Now that's in there all the way. Make sure we got a good wet bolt there, because inside of that spring there is a lug that's threaded, and that's what that bolt is pulling on. You don't want it messed up. 9/16, and this will pull up the preload on that spring. Go ahead and tighten this one up. And the proper torque on them is German, good and tight. So now that spring is preloaded, and you can see the air gaps between the coils, just a little bit. Now make sure that the threads on your brass fitting are clean and ready to receive the hose when we get it up in there. Since the piston is all the way up, there's just a tiny air pocket in this cylinder, when you go to extend the jack, extend it and then let it retract, your hose is coming from here, and so you will have all of the air that's in the hose pushed into the cylinder. So then when it goes to retract, then loosen this fitting on your hose and let it bleed off what tad bit of air you've got in it. When you get good fluid squeezing out, don't take the fitting off, just loosen it, not this fitting but on the hose. Just loosen it and let it purge the air out, and because air will compress, fluid will not. You want to get that air out there. It won't hurt nothing, but your jack won't function 100% effectively with air in it, because like I say, air compresses, fluid will not. Anyway, we'll get this mounted back up and get the air line hooked onto it, and we'll call it done. And we'll go ahead and end this video here. Oh, I wanted to tell you about the seal package. I went to a place here in Indianapolis, actually Greenfield, far east side of Indianapolis, called MSP Seals, and the part numbers for those seals I think you can see that. Just stop and write those numbers down, and you can see that for 2 jacks I serviced the seals for $20. You can go online and you can buy this same seal packet for $140, or you can get them for $20. Now, I don't know, maybe you can call, if you can't find them anywhere, you can call MSP Seals. I don't know that they're, well, there's a number down here at the bottom. It's 317-866-5000. You could give them those part numbers, probably pay them by phone, and they would, I'm sure, be glad to send those seals to you for $10 per cylinder. Unless you want to pay Lippert or some other outfit $140, you can do that. Anyway, this is good information for you. I hope I can help you. If you got any questions, feel free to comment. Please share, like, and subscribe.